Yummy like a gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for July 1st, 2022. We made it. We made it to July, everybody. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Nintendo explains why it is spending so much money on raw materials, and everyone is happy with EA. Wait. Now they're mad at EA again. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa from Giant Bomb, everybody. How's it going, Jan?
I'm ready to hop in this sloppy jalopy with you and get messy.
Let's do this jalopy once and for all. I'm pretty excited. It's you got like any fireworks plans? I've been mentioning on the podcast, I'm feeling a little bit up and down about celebrating America right now. But my kids like loud noises, so I figured I might just go outside and watch those. You got anything like that happening?
My partner and I were thinking about the same thing. We might just keep it low key with my folks and just like grill some meat.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good to do year round, no matter how on fire the country is.
Right. I got like a red, white, and blue sort of Hawaiian looking shirt. I'm like, I'll wear that. Now I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Anytime that I wind up wearing that color coordinated outfit of red, white, and blue, I'm like, oh, that's fun. It's not
it just
fun.
makes me sad for a minute. So like, I don't know.
I have this one shirt that literally has one blue line on it, and I can never wear it anymore.
Right.
Because of the connotation.
Yep.
And it was a really nice shirt because the other designs on it was fun. But then because of this one blue line, I can't.
Those damn dirty blue lines. All right. Well, we're going to get into this mess. Before we do, let's talk about this show. Each weekday, I, Jeff Grubb, will piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news, the catch-up where we discuss the biggest topics consuming the lives of gamers everywhere, and maybe even bring some of our original reporting. I got a small one for you today, just a confirmation more than anything else. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will join me to make me look smart. Today, that's Jan. Hello, Jan. And if
the other way around today.
And if you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. If you are watching on there, hello, hit that thumbs up button. It helps people find the show. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Do the whole thing that everyone always tells you to do. You know the rigmarole already.
Comment and all that. Yeah, subscribe. We appreciate it.
Algorithm. Use it.
I still can't get over that his name was Algo Rhythm or Algae Rhythm in Space Jam 2. Yes, I'm like, okay, very good. All right.
Think Don Cheadle fondly remembers that role?
I bet he doesn't even remember being in it already.
That's true.
He's already forgotten. He's like, what movie was that? Yeah.
LeBron? What?
Yeah, LeBron. Wait, I didn't see any of LeBron. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess. Why is Nintendo buying so much raw material? This is an interesting one. You know what? Let me bring this up here. I have the thing I wanted to look at. Let me see. It's somewhere here. There is a cool chart that shows how much Nintendo is spending on all this stuff. Oh, Jan, you're going to be a little bit out of the way. Let me move this. There we go.
This is on Resetera.
Yes, exactly. So. Real quick, looking at this chart, and Jan, you're a little tiny in the window there. Sorry about that. I'll fix that in a second. Raw materials and supplies. Nintendo for this fiscal year is planning to spend 66 million yen, and that is more than double the highest previous year over the last 4 or 5 years. That was in fiscal year 19, which is when they launched. I think the Marico chip version of the Switch was the better battery life version of the Switch, and the Lite. And then other years, it's more like 10,000 million yen and 12,000 million yen and 9,000 million yen. So they're spending a lot of money on raw materials. Jan, what does that make you think Nintendo's up to?
I mean, like the immediate smart thing to think, I would assume, is that they're gearing up production for something, whether it is like another refresh to the existing Switch or the Switch 2. But I want to just think that they're building a actual lava castle for Doug Bowser.
Doug Bowser's lava castle, absolutely.
Yeah. Because that seems like a lot of money to be investing into raw materials for a game company. I can't fathom what else those raw materials would be used for unless they're just hoarding them now. Is this proof that they may actually be gearing up for a Switch 2 or like some type of
It does feel like that.
major hardware refresh, like the OLED Switch 2 and not the actual new Switch that we want?
Right. It does feel like this is the like on the precipice of something to do with a next generation launch of some sort, or potentially a Switch Pro. It feels very late to do a Switch Pro now. Because we're talking about, okay, if you're talking about Switch Pro, that means every game that comes out on the Switch Pro also needs to be running natively on the original Switch hardware. That is going to be a tough pill to swallow if we're talking about extending this generation out another 3-4 years. But I suppose it's still possible. Maybe they have other plans in mind of, okay, yeah, we are going to do that for a few years, but then we're going to do a phone model where a few years later, then we're going to introduce something that's more powerful than that. And we're just going to kind of keep the Switch going, the Switch line going forever until it doesn't make sense anymore. Maybe that's what they're doing. To me, this just seems like it is partially, yes, them getting ready for a new generation of something, but it's also probably them thinking, we have money in the bank and we are uncertain about the future. So why wouldn't we take some of this money and put it into stuff that we know we're going to need that could be very, like, the prices could be like going up and down and the availability could be going up and down and they could cost way more in the future. And sure, it costs a lot now and we are spending a lot of money on it now, but then we're certain that we have it and we have, like, hopefully they have the, like, you know, the storage space to keep all of it, because that's like usually the reason why companies don't spend this money. You could buy everything you need for the next 10 years. That's actually not that expensive for many companies. It is storing it and keeping it and then having access to it and hiring all the people to make that supply chain make sense. Most companies have tried to get away from that over the last 10 years. They want to have just-in-time supply chains, not these like, oh, we have a huge warehouse full of everything we ever need supply chains. It seems like Nintendo's maybe trying to find a middle ground where they can still have a lot on their shelves ready to go whenever they need it so that they aren't dealing with supply shortages in the future. It makes some sense. Now, Nintendo president Shintaro Furukawa was asked about this, and he said that, because they did that investor call this week, and he said, and this is translated, it says, it is necessary to prepare for production by securing the inventory for raw materials and parts as soon as possible. The first reason is that we keep more raw materials than before, or raw material inventories than before. So he's basically confirming, yeah, this is just about keeping these materials in a way that is it's greater than what we did before in the past. We are changing the way we're doing things. And he says the second reason is the change in accounting due to the application of the new revenue recognition standard and its impact. And Jan, I'm not an accountant. I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm pretty sure it just means like the way they count things means they have to do this now. I don't know why that would be the case, though. I'm
Sure.
Maybe we can get a CPA in here and tell us what's going on with that. But or, you know, from Japan. I don't know. But I'm excited about this. What do you think?
The second thing that just suddenly popped up in my mind that is exponentially more boring than perhaps making a new Switch or just stockpiling the raw materials for the future is, what if they're just building a new office? Because didn't they just buy a bunch of real estate earlier this year?
Yeah.
So what if they're just building a building with these raw materials?
I wonder what raw material counts as. Like, would that count as like, oh, the things you need to produce, like to build an office, or would it count as like office supplies? It's probably like raw material to me sounds like the stuff you need to build your product, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they count that stuff. So I think there's a lot of possibilities here. I think the biggest one is just concerns about the supply chain, though. And I don't think this suddenly means we will for sure be getting a new Switch of some sort next year that is like new in the way that we mean when we say that, improved hardware. It's possible. Yeah. It's something that could happen in some form. It just seems probably not still.
Maybe they saw like how hard it has been to acquire a PS5 or a new Xbox, and they want a smoother launch for whatever it is, and they see that perhaps the prices of certain raw materials that they know they will need for their new product is not necessarily the cheapest, but it's the cheapest it's going to be for a while. So why not, if they have that extra cash, like you mentioned, just go grab it? Right,
exactly. I think that this is a company that has that doesn't usually spend a lot of its money on like, oh, we're going to go acquire a bunch of companies. And that's what a lot of other companies have been doing with all their money in the bank. And when you have money in the bank right now with, and not just the briefcase from the WWE, but when you have like actual cash savings and you're a big corporation and inflation is as bad as it is, 7-8%. That's money just losing its value. It becomes a liability. It's something you want to get off your books. And spending it on raw materials typically is not the best way of doing that, because raw materials can degrade and things can go wrong, and you don't know if you're going to sell things. It doesn't make a lot of sense to. But right now, with the supply chain being so uncertain and with inflation being so bad, it might seem like this is a pretty good use of our money, because we know supply chain could be a problem. We just don't know exactly what it's going to be, but we do know eventually we're going to sell all these raw materials as products eventually. So maybe we should just make that move. It's interesting from the very least, because it is pretty counter to how so many companies have operated recently with how they build their supply chains. Like Apple's famous for this like just-in-time supply chain that is so taut and perfect, and yet they're able to like serve all these customers with millions of iPhones at launch. A few other companies every other company's trying to emulate that. Nintendo seems to be like scooting back from that a little bit, so it's interesting.
We have a couple updates here from chat. According to Wandy from the Giant Bomb chat, construction materials are not the same thing as raw materials.
Right. Okay.
So that kind of gets the thought that they're maybe building a new building out of the way. And a CPA chimes in, Jeff.
Cool.
Steel Knight 2000. CPA here, not Japan. Just means they're changing the way they report revenue, if I heard correctly.
Yeah, okay. It definitely sounds like that. And again, my major confusion there is like, then why would that mean they're now buying a bunch more raw materials? Maybe they're just buying a pretty similar number of raw materials and they're changing the way they report that. But I thought that would mean like this is a new chart that they put out when we look at it. This is their chart. And it's like, well, why are these numbers here the same or so low compared to this? They would have changed it for all of these. But again, that's my limited understanding of accounting, and so we're not gonna have a great answer for everybody there. Okay, let's see here. Skate 4 gets a new early trailer. This is did you take a look at this, Jan? It looks really fun.
Yeah this we'll get into it, but I do appreciate the transparency of just straight up saying like, yo, this is where we're at. It looks really rough. Just bear with us. But it's here. It's a thing. You could stop commenting on all of our social media accounts, Skate 4, because it somewhat exists.
And it's like it's cool to see that. Here, I'll bring this up now too. Basically what they showed here, this is the older trailer. This is we're working on it. So then they put out a new trailer today. It says we're still working on it. And this is like a much more honest look at what the game is right now. They say it's a pre-alpha. And this lines up with everything I've heard about it. That this game is still years away. So I heard that this trailer was going to be coming. And when I was told that, they're like at the same time, but you're going to see and you're going to know when you look at it that it's still years away. And that's the case. And it's like obvious looking at it. So we're getting completely textureless environments. It looks like a lot of the stuff they're showing is from the game development engine itself. But when they show things in motion, when they show characters skating in this game, it looks a lot like a skate game in a very good way to me, where it just looks like people hanging out, trying a bunch of skate tricks. And then they show all of the cool things that they're going to be enabling in this game with just like the multiplayer park creation thing right there, where people are, there's like a dozen people in this area. And you can tell that everyone's like moving different pieces and they're all just trying to like, okay, now someone made a slight change. Let's see what happens now when we try to skate down this wall of ramps. Now, I'm excited. Like, to me, that sounds like a really good direction for Skate to be headed. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I didn't think that when I first picked up Skate, I didn't think it'd be the best game to play with multiple people because of a lot of people getting acclimated to the different skate controls of flipping your board, as opposed to Tony Hawk, which is more easier to pick up and play. But then as the series progressed and they came up with stuff like the Hall of Meat type of things, it was just much more fun to skate around with your buds and just see them flop around and crunch some bones. And I think now with where online is at and where cross-platform stuff could go, that sounds amazing, just to be able to skate around with your friends and fall off stuff. Perhaps like, yo, let's move this trash can over here and jump over it. And then, all right, cool, we can land that. Let's see if we can land on a rail afterwards. It feels like a fun way to actually capture the feeling of being a dirtbag skater.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's kind of, I think, what people want from Skate. Like, we get something specific from Tony Hawk, we get something different from Skate. To me, this indicates that EA and the development team understand what that thing is. And it is much more like the hangout chill vibes of hanging out with a bunch of skaters. Like they are going for that, and they're trying to translate that to video games. And what can video games unlock in that environment? Well, yeah, like let's build our own skate park. Let's do a bunch of like stupid things. So it's like let's embrace the glitches that people have made compilation videos of skate before, and then let's sort of maybe make it so that stuff feels baked into the way that you move your character around and make them kind of run around all silly and hanging from monkey bars. And all that stuff was in this like pretty short video saying, hey, we're still working on it. So that's the other side of this, where EA seems to be finding a voice, right? They seem to be finding a voice where, for years they would put out games that just kind of came and went. And I would think about like Need for Speed. Now, Need for Speed is a series that it definitely has an audience and stuff. But to me, it always just felt like, who really defines himself as a Need for Speed fan? And again, there are people who do that. But it's like, it was very easy to be like, this is just freaks. EA. Yes, freaks. This is EA going through the motions for those freaks and not for anyone else. With this stuff and with the Dead Space trailers and live streams they've been doing, we're like, hey, we're going to show the game in development. We're talking to this audience specifically. It feels like they have a voice when they are speaking to those audiences. So it's like maybe if they were just deliberately ignoring all the rest of us and speaking to these people that are here for skate and here for Dead Space, it makes it more appealing to me from the outside, where I'm like, oh, they know what they're doing here. And in the past, it hasn't felt that way. So coming out and showing a really unfinished game is really counter the way many video game companies have been operating for decades 100%. Now. And so is that surprising to you to see EA being the one that sort of changed this?
Oh, especially coming from EA, because like on the outside, if you were to ask someone that doesn't really follow games media or really tunes into any of the websites, I feel like they would just assume that EA is either the Sims people or the Madden people.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And, it turns out transparency with your audience can have a really beneficial impact. With this trailer specifically, it creates like a good sense of accountability of like, yo, we don't want to keep y'all hanging. This is where we're actually at. And then it winds up creating a positive buzz because of how honest they are being, and the general buzz, because it's such a fun trailer, right? Because instead you could see a dramatic asset slideshow of like, this is what we're gonna do, this is how we're gonna change skate. But instead they're like,
yes,
y'all, we know y'all like the silly parts of this. Here are the silly parts of this. We're gonna lean into the skid here, because I loved watching those glitch compilation videos of
it's great.
Of
my
skate.
wife likes it. My wife is like, she doesn't care about skate, but she's like, that's like there's something like so funny about a game breaking. And it's like, if you know how to still be a corporation and yet embrace that stuff, that's a hard thing to pull off. It feels like they're getting 100%.
There. Yeah. And like, that is a thing that honestly, I feel like, I hate to bring it back to wrestling, but I feel like the WWE games, a lot of the fun moments of that is when that game breaks.
Yeah.
And I know that is a hard thing to lean into or integrate into the actual gameplay, or at least the gameplay materials. But I like that they are not taking themselves so seriously, because then it's like, all right, cool. Well, I guess I should just, I guess I can check y'all out. I'll give y'all the benefit of the doubt. And they have, they're opening this up to potentially have the community test for stuff. So God, 100% that these people, regular people, will see this and be like, oh, cool, I can help out with this. And like, because they see how early of a state it's in, it'll just wind up, it just winds up being a good look all around.
Yeah. So they are testing, they're opening up to testers. They're asking more people to come in and test out the game. You go to skate.game/insider, and they're going to open that stuff up. Someone in chat, let's say Matt on the site, points out a really good point. Wait until they take out a mode that they're showing early because it doesn't work / isn't fun and people cry. And that is the risk that they are running here. And it's maybe that is the lessons they've learned over time is okay, we know what to show people and we know what not to show them. And we're going to let's let them experiment with the stuff that we know is core to the game. Maybe the very experimental stuff that we're unsure about, that we're prototyping, maybe that's the stuff you keep inside. You keep it in the editing room until it's ready for everybody else to see. I think that's a possibility where they could still pull this off. But Matt's right. Eventually that's going to happen, and EA will just have to be ready for it. And if you're wondering if we're going to talk about EA's She's a 10 or whatever, but yeah, we'll talk about that in the catch up, everybody. It's a silly thing. All right. Tom Henderson reveals details about God of War Ragnarok Collector's Editions and discuss the delayed announcement. So it's July, and we never got any official word about what's happening with God of War Ragnarok from Sony. We talked about this yesterday on the show. Sounds like that stuff was pushed. The development team seems very eager to be like, yes, this is coming, and we want to tell you everything. We just haven't gotten the green light yet. So, yeah, no release date or pre-order details came from Sony yesterday, but from Tom Henderson at Xputer, it's understood that this announcement was still the plan until just yesterday, with Sony announcing the release date of the game in addition to the God of War Collector's Editions. It is believed the original contents of the blog consisted of Collector Edition details, the release date, and assurance that the game is doing well in development and that gameplay of the game we'll see gameplay of the game at a later date. One detail that fans seem to be eager to hear about is the exact release date of the game, which unfortunately, this is Tom, I wasn't able to verify. Despite the reveal date announcement being delayed, it's still believed that the game will still be released in November. So, I mean, it's kind of like the same story with God of War that we've been hearing for this entire year. The game's not delayed to 2023. It's coming later this year, but we don't know for sure yet. And Sony's not talking about it yet. Why they made these decisions, I'll say, Jan, one thing I've learned is when people speculate, no matter who it is, about like what's happening behind closed doors, they never get it right. No one ever understands what's happening behind the closed doors.
No, yeah.
It's so easy to get one detail wrong and then extrapolate from all of that, and everything you end up coming up with is just incorrect. So I'll say I'm not sure why they would delay this, why they haven't told us, but I bet they have their reasons, and I bet it makes a lot of sense if you're in those rooms.
Sure, 100%. I agree. Maybe they're waiting for Thor Ragnarok to come out, and they're going to get the fun popcorn buckets that AMC is selling.
Sure, yes.
and repurpose those for the collector's edition, because they're like, someone else already did the work.
It's already a picture of Thor. Yeah, exactly. And we'll just just draw his hair, make it red. We're good to go. That's our Thor now. I love it. The collector's editions details from Tom here, they sound like collector's editions. Let's see. There's one will feature a 1-to-1 scale replica of Thor's Mjolnir hammer, with the two editions being named the Collector's Edition and the Jotnar Edition. I'm sorry, I don't know how to say my Norse mythology names.
Jotnar?
Jotnar? That sounds right. The Jotnar Edition comes with just the hammer and the game, whilst the Collector's Edition comes with other pieces, such as badges, a map of the world, and more. That's going to be a big Collector's Edition, 1-to-1 replica of Thor's Mjolnir. You gonna get that?
I hope I could put stuff in it, like little treasures.
Yeah,
and
like,
whatnot.
you open it up and just hide your drugs in there and stuff. Totally, yeah. I get it. Yeah, that's what else are game collector's editions good for if not to hide your drugs? Is what I ask you, Jan.
I mean, if I like the Master Chief helmets, the various ones they've had, I couldn't put my head in there, right? I want to put something in here at least.
Sorry, I want to see a picture of these Thor popcorn buckets. Oh my God, that's so good, actually.
It's really cool.
Let me do this real quick. I'll do the slow reveal for everybody. Here we go. Actually, I'll see it right there. Okay, so we got the Thor's hammer, clearly. And we're going to scroll down, and then you go to, and it's just...
man, look at that.
It's Thor's hammer upside down, and you lift it up, the handle, and then there's just a big pile of popcorn inside. That is so much fun. It's going to be real annoying if it falls over in the middle of the movie, but I guess that's that big heavy base. It's probably going to be fine. It's stupid in a way that I love.
Yeah, I know. AMC has been doing this with MCU movies coming out. They had one for Doctor Strange as well. And I hate it because I have a Regal pass. So it'd be incredibly financially cavalier of me to go to a different fucking theater to get a stupid popcorn bucket. Oh, man, look at that.
Looks really good in movie theater popcorn. I mean, so you get that with it too. That's tasty. That's a good time right there. All right, let's we're gonna hear more about God of War whenever Sony's ready, and I kind of feel like what else can we say about it until that happens, other than Jan, do you still think it comes out this year? I do.
I think perhaps if it does come out this year, it just gets pushed back into December.
Yeah, right, a couple more weeks, something like that's possible. You're right. Need for Speed Unbound is still coming in November. I just wanted to refresh this one because I could say the name now. Need for Speed Unbound. That's the name. That name's been kind of rumored. People were saying that sounds like it, but we haven't been able to confirm it. Yeah, that's the name. The game is sounds like it's coming early November. It's like one of a handful of games that haven't been confirmed yet for that month, but there sounds like they're starting to figure out what that month's going to look like for like EA and Sony and stuff like that. So if God of War comes out in November, Need for Speed Unbound, a few others will be there. We've also seen a few leaked pictures, and I was trying to like explain before with this game. Okay, it's photorealistic graphics, but then they're going to draw on top of it with like animated elements. And when in the game of Telephone, when it got to Twitter and stuff like that, that became like it's gonna have anime stuff on top of it, 100%. I'm like, okay, kinda,
Oh yeah,
right? I'm like,
hell yeah,
that sounds cool. That's why it won the game of Telephone. But it's like it's more just like stylized animated elements on top of the photorealistic stuff, and I think that's still going to happen as far as I'm aware. So
just change it to Need for Speed Uwu.
Yeah, and then it makes a lot more sense, right? Uwu, and your car has the horny anime eyes on it. Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Nintendo announces Wide Care. Now that's probably translated from Japanese.
Finally, I feel taken care of.
I know, right? They're coming from us thick boys. All right. But Wide Care, I hope they keep that name if they ever do bring this to the United States. It is an Apple Care-like product, basically. It fixes fall damage, water damage, and other failures. It's 200 yen per month or 2,000 yen annually. I know that the dollar strength is really increasing, so this used to be easy. Like, 200 yen was $2, 2,000 yen was $20. It's closer to like $15 per year now for this, the equivalent of that. It fixes problems up to 6 times a year or damages worth up to 100,000 yen per year. So that would be like $1,000 ish, $800 ish. It also lists what a fix is worth for various products. So you could fix the Joy-Cons for like $20. Parts other than the LCD screen or CPU are like $50. LCD unit is about $80, and let's see, the CPU is about was that $8? No, yeah, $80, and then a CPU is like $130. So yeah, I mean, cool. It's nice to have these things. I have begun embracing the Apple Care Life, the pay the subscription for the better care. I've started doing that with some of my things, like my phone and things like that. Is this something you would consider, Jan?
I'm thinking about it. Matt on the site brings it up that Joy-Con repair is still free.
Yes.
And that's the main thing that I would think about with Wide Care, besides just thinking about my needs being taken care of. Joy-Con stuff across the board, because I primarily play my Switch handheld, and then when I travel with it, that's the primary thing I bring, because Q3 hasn't rolled around. I'm going to keep banging on this drum until I get my stupid email from Steam. But I bring the Switch with me almost everywhere. And the only things I have to ever really worry about is just the Joy-Con failure. So
right.
It's pretty much just that. But if I can still get them fixed, or even maybe just fix them myself, I've seen like a couple videos about addressing the drift and that being a relatively easy fix. I feel like I don't think I would enroll in Wide Care, because the other stuff I'm not endangering my Switch as much. But if you live in a household with multiple Switches, kids and everything, or older folks, because who knows what grandpa's going to do when he borrows your Switch. He says he's just looking to fix your Animal Crossing. I know what grandpa's doing on the Switch.
Yep. He's looking up pictures of Thor's hammer.
Yeah, that perv.
Yeah, weirdo. I'll say that for me, I've had bad luck, and I think it might. Can I be honest, Jan? I think it might be my hair. I think my hair gets into stuff and breaks things. I think
interesting.
Yeah, I think my hair, because it is everywhere in my life. I think what happens is it gets like wrapped around like fan cords or fans in like inside the Switch and things like that, and it causes like my laptop fans to whine. I can't think of, like, I don't ever see it, but like my stuff like that breaks so often that I'm like, oh man, what? It must be something about me specifically. Maybe I'm just especially staticky or something. I guess that's also possible. A lot of these things were breaking when we were in Colorado, very dry climate there, and so static electricity was a major issue. But I still think it's probably my hair in some cases. And so like I'm like, okay, my things break just often enough that I think I probably would do something like this. The problem is I don't think it would be anywhere priced like this in the North America would be so much more expensive, so much bigger. The shipping infrastructure is so much more spread out. You have to work with so many different companies. You probably have to like work with various local repair vendors across the country to make this make sense. Whereas Japan is like really local. It's very easy to do this sort of thing there. So I don't know. It's been on the pricing, but I also just think Nintendo of America is probably just not going to do this. This is probably not going to be an option.
Oh, no. Yeah. No. Yeah. Especially with how widespread everything is. Getting something reliably fixed, like shipped locally, and then getting that shipped back to you, I feel like would be a nightmare versus Japan, where it's just much more condensed.
Yes, exactly. Soul Calibur 1+2 HD disappears from digital stores. This is by Imran Khan at Fanbyte. No one will say why Soul Calibur disappeared from the digital stores, he writes. The HD versions of the first 2 Soul Calibur games are no longer being sold on digital marketplaces, and Bandai Namco won't say why. In the past year, though, Bandai Namco has quietly and slowly removed the games from sale from nearly all available territories. This, in and of itself, is strange, but not unprecedented. Sometimes the licenses lapse for things like music or even contracts with outside character designers, and the publishers were short-sighted about how long these games would be made available. What's curious in this case, however, is not that these Soul Calibur HD remasters have disappeared. It's that Bandai Namco has said nothing about it and will not tell me why, despite repeated inquiries. After a few weeks of trying, unfortunately, I've hit enough brick walls that I don't think I'm ever going to find out. So this story will have to suffice as a PSA. Hey, Soul Calibur HD and Soul Calibur 2 HD are not for sale anymore. Why are companies so weird? Just tell us what's going on. Just tell us why.
Yeah, we were talking about transparency with the EA stuff of like, if it is a legitimate thing, perhaps someone in chat brought up, perhaps it's music, maybe?
Right. It could be anything. Yeah, it could be, one of the characters was modeled after some person, and they like the contract didn't have the exact wording for what is the word? In perpetuity?
Yes.
So maybe it's something that simple, and they don't want to do the work, or they can't find the person to renegotiate the contract. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why stuff like this could happen.
Maybe Valdo got canceled.
Maybe Valdo's a real weirdo. Maybe he's a real problem. That's my guess, actually. That's my bet. We know what would happen with like the Metal Gear games. This happened with Metal Gear Solids. They have various like news clips in them a lot of times, and that stuff. The licensing on that expired, and it's frustrating because we don't know what's happening to bring those games back, but at least we know why. So there's no like mystery here. We get it. They're working on the licenses, or they're not working on the licenses. But either way, we understand what's going on here. It's just like, oh, is there any hope? Is there any reason that the stuff would come back? It just feels it does feel especially weird. It feels like they are just not being transparent in a way that doesn't make sense. Just tell us so we can. People moved on from Metal Gear Solid. They'll move on from Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur's beloved, but like Metal Gear Solid fans are the truest freaks. So it's like, if that audience can like hear that news and process it, you could tell the Soul Calibur fans what's going on as well.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid fans are the real Valdos.
Yes, the true Valdos among us. That's right.
Are they? I don't know. Is a significant anniversary coming up, or maybe they're just going to put it in another package, perhaps?
That's the hope. But like, even when that stuff happens, right? Don't they? They usually wait until that is out before they take the games down. At least that's how it's worked in the past. But maybe Bandai Namco could be doing things differently. Maybe they are considering something along those lines. It's a strange one, and I hope that just by Imran putting this out, it shakes them loose enough that they give us some answers.
That's right. Number 2 games journalist in the world.
Yes, he's actually number 1. He's number 1. He's number 1 because he did the cutter on me and Kind of Funny Wrestling pay-per-view. After I was beating him up the entire time, and then he just did a cutter out of nowhere, took me down and pinned me. And then Andy Cortez was laying outside the mat like the entire time. He wasn't in a factor, but he had previously beaten me. So now it's Imran, Andy Cortez, and then me. So I'll get my revenge. I will have my revenge.
Stay tuned to the ranking of games journalists.
Exactly. A Fallout London modder has joined Bethesda, while the project's lead has rejected a Fallout job offer by Tom Ivan at VGC. Bethesda has hired a senior member of the Fallout London mod team, while the project lead has also reportedly rejected a job offer to work on the series. In a statement published on Friday, the Fallout London team said that lead technical advisor Ryan Johnson was leaving the project to work at Bethesda as an associate level designer. It wished him well and said Johnson, whose job had been to advise the mod's level designers, had helped collate his knowledge into invaluable design documentation so the rest of the team can work on it in his stead seamlessly. The message also revealed that following some very hard soul searching, Fallout London project lead Dean Carter had decided to decline the offer of an industry role at UK-based Fallout 76 co-developer Double 11 in order to continue working on the mod until the end. Fallout London, which is comprised of a condensed version of London focused on the main boroughs, was recently confirmed to release in 2023. So exciting that for multiple reasons for me. First, I love the idea of these big mods that come out for these games and enable you to experience completely new spaces that were never intended by the original designers. That's cool. I'm glad that's still coming out next year. I also really love the idea of Bethesda specifically looking at the mod scene for talent, because there is a lot of talent in the Bethesda modding scene. Why not take advantage of that, right?
Oh, totally. Like the amount of talent you'll see modding like the Sims community, because the Sims community is very rampant. A bunch of pervs there also, but a bunch of talented pervs making content because for their fellow pervs. But the Fallout stuff that I've seen and other stuff related to Bethesda games is some of the stuff that I look forward to after a Bethesda game actually comes out.
Oh yeah.
Is how are people going to mess with this?
Right, we're gonna get some true pretty bodies, pretty faces, and jiggle physics, and then there's gonna be 1,500 YouTube videos about it. And that's the way to do it. Now just make that the main thing. Just build that into the game from the beginning. I love it.
Yep.
I also just like okay, we talk so much about Bethesda and their games coming out buggy. I don't think this does much for that. That stuff's still just gonna happen. I think there's a certain philosophy within Bethesda where it's like, no matter how hard we would try putting these things out there, as soon as there's 1 million people playing instead of like 500 people playing, they're going to discover so much in this game where you could pick up anything and put it anywhere, that we just kind of have to wait for everyone to play it before we could truly squash so many of these bugs. So I like, this isn't going to magically mean that suddenly, every Bethesda game is going to be fixed by the modding community, because the modding community now works for Bethesda. So yeah. Bandai Namco partners with Pokemon Remake dev for new Ace Combat Studios by Andy Robinson at VGC. The new company will be called Bandai Namco Aces, headquartered in Tokyo, leveraging the know-how of both companies to continue to deliver deep and lasting high-quality content to fans around the world. That includes new games in the Ace Combat series, as was announced last year. ILCA, which is the team that has worked on the Pokemon games and is going to be form the foundation of this new studio, recently contributed to the development of Ace Combat 7, and according to its website, it's working with Ace Combat developer Project Aces on next generation projects using Unreal Engine 5. So this is a pretty cool move. They said the reason they're choosing the Aces name is because they want to make sure this is they're positioning it as a team that could do the biggest and best games with the most talent, and they're going to be big budget games going forward. So that's it's a good idea. Bandai Namco also went on to. Oh, I'm sorry. This is from Bandai Namco. Aces will be led by. This is the CEO of the new studio, Takuya Iwasaki, who said, "With the cooperation of Bandai Namco, we would like to pass on the knowledge we have cultivated so far to a new generation in order to further evolve this series that remains in the history of games." He said in a statement, "The whole team will do their best to give back to Namco, which I have been admiring since I was a child. So I'd appreciate your support. Come young to the sky," is how he finished it, which I'm sure is a phrase from Ace Combat. Real quick, ILCA was established in 2010. They've worked on games like Nier Automata, Dragon Quest XI, Code Vein, as well as Pokemon Home. And now they're also working on Scarlet and Violet. So ILCA will continue to do that stuff as well.
It's fun that he quoted a line from Top Gun Maverick, because you remember that scene where Tom Cruise yells to Miles Teller, "Come young to the sky."
That's right. Yes, that was I cried during that. Absolutely, yeah.
And then that's when Miles Teller does his shimmy and everything.
Oh no, okay. I think we're getting we might be getting schooled here.
What are you doing?
No, just can come in if she wants. I'll turn off the camera thing. So hang on.
I think she thought we were doing Run for the Hills. That's later. I'll send you a VMix link.
I thought she was going to come in and tell us what's really going on with Ace Combat, and I would have loved that. All right, then no problem, Jess. That happens. Halo Infinite's campaign co-op will let every player make progress by Chris. This by Chris Collian at VGC. So one of the big problems when you have an online co-op, right, is that
Mhm.
only the lead player gets to make
Oh my gosh.
progress, right? Isn't
Yeah.
that annoying? Well, that's something they are specifically saying won't be an issue. Which, okay, if this stuff's going to come out later instead of like when the game launched, I'm glad that they at least did this. So Halo Infinite's campaign co-op will let every player make progress, whereas some games with co-op only track the lead player's progress. Halo Infinite will ensure the accomplishment will count for everyone in a team, according to lead world designer John Malky. In a new blog post on the official Halo Waypoint website, Mulkey explained, the goal going was to allow everyone to play their campaigns together. This meant that all progress made in the game, regardless of it being through solo or co-op play, would be retained. I could be playing solo campaign, jump into a co-op session for a few hours, then launch back into the solo play, and all the mission progress acquired, and the acquired collectibles, equipment found, achievements earned, and upgrades made in either session would be intact. Gone are the days of playing someone else's game while earning no progress. That's what I want to hear.
Lovely. Yes, please give me that.
And
It's so annoying in games like Back for Blood and other co-op minded games that I'll play for hours only to be at the same first level because my buddy was hot on the take to host us.
And this is the kind of thing where I think like this has probably been pretty similar to how it's worked in the past with Halo, but those past Halo games haven't been open world games where you're exploring an environment and because those are just like levels. And it's like, okay, you did that level, you completed that level. Of course, you could just track that very easily. This is a situation where this introduces a lot of technical problems with that, where a person might get ahead in a co-op campaign of where they are in their single player campaign. Now, how do you handle those interactions between the two saves? They talked about that. They go on and talk about it on the blog post. Basically, it was technical, but they said, hey, we thought about it. We have a solution, and it's not going to be a problem. So it's good that they didn't just let we wanted to make a big open world game get in the way of the way it should work. They've came up with their own solution. I'm ready to see how it works.
Yeah. At the same time, I completely recognize how much of a developmental nightmare that would be to sync up that progress.
Right, exactly. It's awesome that this team is doing it. I get why some teams don't.
Yeah.
Persona and other Atlas games could become live-action TV shows and movies. This is by Lane Pitts at GameSpot. Toru Nakahara, Sega's head of entertainment production of film and television, told IGN that he's ready to take on the challenge of adapting Atlas's properties and excited for the future. Atlas's worlds are filled with high drama, cutting-edge style, and compelling characters, Nakahara said. Together, Sega and Atlas are working to bring these stories and worlds to life through new mediums and for new audiences. What do you think?
No, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't.
I agree.
It's like a stop.
Yeah, this is I don't know. It's just like it's Persona without the game stuff, without the like you controlling the relationships and all these things. It doesn't seem like it would be the same thing. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the series, but from my understanding of it, it sounds like that is the magic and what separates it from so many other things. I suppose it maybe you could tell side stories or something like that, but is that what you really want? I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, also they already have existing series of anime, so you already have representation of.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah.
Persona in entertainment. And you could still carry that same feeling and same style.
Yeah.
And you touched on it. Style is a huge thing in those Persona games that I don't know. I mean, I guess you could translate it to live action, but I just don't think it's going to hit in the same way unless it's given the proper budget.
And we need like a lot of because you need that huge budget to like develop a comprehensive style that can run throughout and doesn't feel cheap. Because at a certain level, anytime it's like, okay, this is like a TV stylistic version of it, that ends up feeling like, okay, I could see through it. It feels cheap. Like it happens with like the biggest budget like Star Wars TV shows where it's like, I'm seeing through what they're doing here. This looks like TV CGI. And you kind of don't want that. I mean, maybe if it was these were big budget movies, but I don't think that's what they're going to do. They're going to do live action TV shows, they said. So
right. And then someone mentioned this, but God, I can only imagine them making a Riverdale style Persona live action series. And like the cheese part could be fun, but just the cheese is eventually going to wear off, just like it is in Riverdale. And I feel bad for those poor actors being stuck to this show.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I think Jan's right. Just don't do this one.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the catch up. Let's talk about what everyone's talking about. EA is being criticized for appearing to mock people who only like single player games. So they tweeted they're a 10, but they only like playing single player games. And then just so this, I think this is from VGC. The message, while likely intended as a lighthearted joke, received an overwhelming negative response, and it's more than 7,000 replies. I want to say, like, chill out, people. Like, it's just a bad tweet. Like, and really, if you think about it, okay, when you read something online, if you try to think of like the most generous interpretation, like the most generous interpretation here is they're talking about, oh, they're a 10, but they won't play games with me. And that makes me sad. That's probably what they're trying to go for here. And they're definitely nowhere does it say single player games fucking suck. They are bad, and we hate people who make them. We hate people play. It doesn't say, like, if you were reading that into it, like, that's not what's happening here. I get that it's weird that EA's talking about it in a way that might seem to indicate single player games are lesser than, but they're even not really doing that. It's not worth getting too upset about, even if it is a weird tweet. Obviously, there was so much room for it to be misinterpreted. It was probably a bad idea, right, Jan?
Yeah, I mean, also the poor social media person that just thought like, oh, let's just make a fun goof and everything.
That person is definitely not deciding how many single player games EA makes, right?
Yes, that poor person had their phone or work phone blown up because of what they thought would be a fun little joke. Turned out the internet sometimes can't take a little joke.
I'll say that I think I have a pretty good understanding of what's happening here. I think people have anxieties about single player games going away, and they're like worried, like, okay, single player games are in this precarious position where they don't make quite as much money as online multiplayer games or free to play games or all these other things that I just don't jive with. I grew up on single player games. That's what I want. And the future of that is not like, oh, we definitely won't get any, but it's uncertain, like how many we'll get and how many will be good. And then a company comes along and it's like a company that's known for embracing online multiplayer and card packs and stuff like that, makes a joke that seemingly confirms those anxieties. I get why people are sort of like lashing out in a way. It's still not really what is happening here in this specific instance.
Yeah, I feel like there's a big disconnect for some people still to realize that the social media arm of a big company like EA, like Arby's and Wendy's, is not directly representative of the actual board that governs decisions.
Right.
You know, like, just because the Arby's Twitter person is cool with you does not mean you could roll up to the drive-thru and be like, I got a like from the Arby's account, give me free beef.
I wish it worked that way because they've DM'd me before, and I'm like, but hey, look, I have a relationship with you. Give me food now. Yeah, it doesn't quite work that way.
Sorry, Mike.
Related, have you seen Radio Shack's Twitter?
Oh boy, yeah. I think Lucy had brought this up.
Okay,
I think it wound up just being like tied to some NFT scamming going on.
Right. I think it's like they sell crypto now. It's like their tweets are just like, some people think beer is nasty, and so am I after 15. Good morning, happy Friday. Like, what are you talking about? Anybody that thinks Radio Shack Twitter is wild, and just remember, we watched a courtroom full of people just talk about, okay, very fun. Cool.
Oh, boy.
All black Air Force Ones that are laced up and ready to go. If you know, you know, morning people.
Oh, okay. That is a threat against humanity then.
Oh, no, I don't know what that means. I don't know.
Oh, my God. Jeff Grubb, you do not trust someone that rolls up to you with tied up black Air Forces. They mean business. They're here to mess up your stuff.
Okay, good to know. I think was it you that was talking, or like oh no, that was Blessing over in the show, talk about how someone was when they ask like what size shoes you're wearing or like how your shoes are, like if you're a woman they want to see feet pics, but if you're a man they're just about to steal your shoes. Like, okay, I get it now. And then Radio Shack said, if you find a squirter, marry her. So that's what we're dealing with over here. That's what we're dealing with.
Okay, that's what they probably mean.
Okay, let's see here. Sega Genesis games are getting added. More Sega Genesis games are getting to the Nintendo Switch Online. We cut over here and play it in the background. We talk about it. Comic Zone, Mega Man: The Wily Wars, Target Earth, and Zero Wing. This is a pretty good list of games.
Yeah,
I'm pretty excited about that. I think it's out now. I think you can already play them. Zero Wing is famous for being it's this game. War was beginning. What happened? Somebody set us up the bomb, and it's like that classic meme from the beginning of the internet. Yeah, that's cool that's on there. You can play that now. But also Mega Man: The Wily Wars is pretty cool. I like Comic Zone. How excited are you about this?
I love the Willy Wars.
Willy Wars, yeah,
sorry.
it's exactly. Yeah, so hey, either way, whatever floats your boat, I get it. Yeah.
It's just fun to see more stuff come to that because every time that these get announced, I remember I'm paying for Nintendo Switch Online, and then I'm not really reaping the benefits lately.
Right. Yeah. I've been
Comic
trying to do
Zone,
better
I
about
thought
playing
was
them. Yeah.
sick as hell.
Yes. It's like this game could come out today, right? A Comic Zone, like what the way it looks, it could come out
Yeah.
today, and it would just be like, oh man, that's an awesome new indie art style, like where you're jumping from comic panel to comic panel to comic panel. Like so, and it holds up, like, especially when it's been up-res to HD for the Switch. I'm like really into this. It's really cool. So yeah, I'll be playing some of these. It is a better lineup than they've had for like the NES and stuff like that for quite a while. We are getting to a point. We're in July. They released Pokemon Snap on Nintendo 64 online last month. We don't know what they're going to do next. They have no announced N64 games anymore. So we're still waiting to hear what's going on with Nintendo Switch Online for Nintendo games.
Give me Glover. Is Glover already out?
Glover just got re-released on Steam. I wonder if that version got released on Switch, but it was not part of Nintendo Switch Online. But you can go buy that on Steam right now. I would recommend you don't do that, but you can. I tried. Glover. I played it and I was like, oh no. The PlayStation version, because it has both. The PlayStation version was especially bad, actually. The N64 version was okay.
Oh.
All right. Finally, this comes from a PC gamer. Cats are better than dogs. Cats, and this is okay. It's about video games, but there's obviously the underlying thing here. Cats are natural platformers. This is the reasons why they make better video game protagonists. Cats are natural platformers. They like to leap across gaps, climb up trees and onto roofs, squeeze through tight spaces, and walk along narrow beams. My mom's dog sometimes falls off the couch for no reason. I guess it's Tyler Wilde over at PC Gamer. I'm into this. Cats are explorers, while a dog sniffs at the base of a succulent in the neighbor's yard for 2 hours. A cat prowls its domain, engaging in a complex social life with 100 other local creatures, a life we only ever witness in those videos, opens in a new tab, and where people put cameras on their pets to see what they do all day. Cats use their keen senses and agility to invisibly stalk their prey while evading threats. Dogs sometimes get confused when it's dark and bark at household objects. Okay, I agree with Tyler. Jan, tell me what your thoughts are.
I'm on the other side of this.
Fair
Just
enough.
yesterday, I was yet again compelled to remember that I'm also paying for Final Fantasy 14. I think that I have to go get this stupid Shiba Inu mount because the Shiba Inu mount it feels like it's going to be my best friend forever, and I just want to have it forever. You can ride a Shiba Inu in Final Fantasy 14.
I think having a dog as a companion in a game, have it as or the leader dog from that war game that's like Advanced Wars, that was very good. But like having a dog as a mount or a companion in a game does make a ton of sense. Absolutely. I do feel like the interior life of a dog is objectively less complicated than that of a cat, where a cat is going out and having like its own adventures, and a dog's just like, I wonder if my owner still loves me. And that's the only thought it ever has.
And it's true, I do.
We do. Yes.
Also, dogs come in all different fun shapes and sizes. You get a cat, it's same as other cats.
Yeah.
You get this one dog, it's long like a hot dog. You get this other one.
Right, but that's a lottery too. Because some dogs come in a form that just make you sad to look at. You're like, oh no, we've genetically modified you into a terrible monster, and I'm sorry we did this to you, but we did it for our own pleasure. So it's like, and now I feel very sad about that. The cat's just like that. That's just the cat that decided one day, hey, these humans feed me if I hunt mice for them. I'm just gonna come hang out with them. So
I know that it is fucked up to genetically modified dogs, but we used to have a breed of dog that, a turn spit dog. So we used to put it in a big wheel and it would just walk for us just out of sheer love so it could spin a rotisserie chicken.
Oh my God.
Look it up.
I think that Stray is going to be a pretty good game. This is all about Stray, and I think Stray is going to be pretty fun. But could there be an equivalent where you play a game like Stray, and I guess this open world game you play as a cat jumping all over city, where you play as a dog instead?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
I believe you. I'm there for it. I don't think we have to have one or the other. I believe that we can have both. That's my true belief inside of me.
Yes.
Right.
Propaganda. I will not give in to the propaganda that the media has been selling to me as a child that dogs and cats cannot get along.
All right, hang on. Let me try to get this. I had the poll up, and of course I lost it here at some point. I'll get that. But hey, Jan, what was the question from this week? I have it right here. I didn't write it into the new document. Here, let me see. Jeff Grubb. While I'm doing that, everyone can look at this awesome picture. That was that's the real reason I lost it. That how do you say it's the Jerem?
Yes,
It's
Jerem.
It's too good.
Oh, lovely.
All right, let me see here. Twitter.com/.
How do you do this so fast, man?
He
can't.
He just comes up with ideas, and it like the art just comes spilling out of his eyeballs onto the page. It's incredible.
I need to toss this guy a couple bones because, like, damn, homie, wow. Also, people are pointing this out in the chat. Dogs have jobs. What the fuck do cats do?
That's true. I mean, listen, they don't buy into capitalism. Like they don't believe in that scam that we've all bought into. Dogs are so much like, hey, we just want to please humans. That they are the most capitalistic animal in my opinion. Dogs.
There was that Harrison Ford movie that came out 2 years ago where
I can't think about that movie.
Kills someone.
I can't think about that movie because then I just think about the fact that dog was a CGI dude walking around on set that Harrison Ford, I'd be like, good boy, and it's just a man down there he's talking to. And I want to see that cut of the movie and only that cut of the movie.
That dog tackles someone into
Called
a
the
burning
Wild,
building.
Oh my god! Wait, the man did, and then they put a CGI dog on top of it. All right. Can working with Kojima change the perception of Xbox among other Japanese developers? 60% said yes, 40% said no. Jan, you get what I'm going for there? I don't know if I fully believe that that's enough, but I think it's like part of like the conversation Microsoft's trying to have with Japanese developers. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I feel like Kojima is a prolific enough name within the Japanese audience to be like, oh, okay, maybe I will check out the Xbox.
Right. Yeah, like if he can get like make his like dream game cloud game come true, and like Microsoft could show that there's a lot of support and that they're willing to do what it takes to cross the like the language barrier, and also set him up so that if he does have wild ideas, well, they create an infrastructure for him to realize those ideas. That's stuff that I bet would be pretty enticing to a lot of Japanese game developers who are stuck between a world of, okay, do we keep trying to make games for console and PC in a world where Japanese gamers are caring less and less about that stuff, or do we just go the mobile route and make gacha games? We can make a lot of money doing that. What do we want to do here? Microsoft presents an alternative where you could appeal to the global audience working with a Western company and still make games that are Japanese games through and through, because that's what Microsoft actually wants from you. So I mean, Kojima's not maybe the best example of that. He makes games that are appealing globally, but he's still very much a Japanese creator, and I think other creators might see that and be into it. Right. I think there's only one question we can do for next week, right? Cats versus dogs. I
guess so.
Like, all right, let's just do it. All right, but we'll do it as a video game. What would you rather play as in a game, a cat or a dog? Let's just, let's go tweets. All right. Their poll, cats, dogs. Which would you rather play as in a video game?
Add a third option for hamsters.
Awesome. Hamsters. And then humans. Now let's skip pets.
I never thought to look up the behind the scenes of Call of the Wild, that it is just
yes. All right, yeah. We'll get that and we'll get out of here, everybody. We're wrapping up here real soon.
Dude.
The dog dude, yes.
Okay,
hang on. Call of the Wild behind.
I linked it in the Giant Bomb chat if you have that open.
Hang on. Let's see if this works. Yeah, see that you can tell it's like kind of a CGI dog, but there's just like the dog right there.
Yep, that's just the dude.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Oh man. Okay. All right. We are wrapping up here. Thank you everybody so much for joining us for this Friday Game Mess morning. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Jan, what do we have happening for the rest of the day?
Immediately, well, maybe not immediately, but a couple minutes after this wraps, Jess and I will be wrapping up Run to the Hills. Finally, I'll be free from this game. Later this afternoon, we'll also, the rest of the crew will be continuing Tekken Endings Part 2, the long-awaited return or endings, I guess.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be watching that. My plan is to like finish getting my basement in order while watching that on the screen over here. I'm looking forward to it. Great. I'm gonna get a drink out and everything. It'll be a good time.
Also, Rory and I have been working on a Diablo Immortals quick look, but every time I fire that game up, I just want to break my phone.
Oh no.
Because it is a completely okay Diablo game,
Right.
but just all of the news that winds up popping up every other day about how scummy the monetization is makes me not want to even promote this game and do the public service of a quick look because, yeah, also it is not that great on PC.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, it felt like it basically almost feels like it's just running through like a phone emulator, right? Like it's kind of as bare bones as it could be. Yeah, fair enough. Well, okay. Well, we have all that coming up. There's a ton of stuff next week as well, but Monday we are off for the July 4th holiday. This show will not be on Monday, so please don't worry. I will be oversleeping, but there will be no thing that I'm missing at that point. It's the key. That's the key to really oversleeping the correct way is don't say you're going to do a thing and then oversleep. Have nothing and then oversleep. So that's the plan.
Yes.
And then for the rest of the week, we got plenty of stuff happening. We'll talk about it on Tuesday, though, on the Giant Bombcast. Make sure you tune in for that. All right, Jan, let's get out of here. See the results of the poll. Tune back in on, I guess that means Wednesday. So it's going to be quite some time before I see you. Really think about this cats versus dog question and then get back to us.
Yes.
For now, you're the best audience in gaming. I appreciate it. Have a good one. Take care of yourself. And goodbye.